Ladies and gentlemen, you know why we're here. It's time to discuss the Dallas Cowboys' first unofficial 2025 depth chart. And I'm going to be real, y'all. I seen some surprises already. I can't wait to discuss this. Let's get right into it, and be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content on the regular, bruh. Man, shut your up. All right, we're going to jump right into this thing because this is actually some pretty interesting stuff. All right, so obviously we're going to start on the offensive side of the ball. Quarterback, Dak Prescott. Joe Milton is, in fact, the backup quarterback to the starter. And then we have Will Grier as the third-team quarterback. The running back position, we finally got a little bit of clarity as it pertains to how the team sees their running back room as it currently stands. Now, keep in mind, I think the preseason is going to have a major impact on several positions. I'll be sure to highlight those as we go along. The running back position definitely being one of those. Javonte Williams is tabbed as the starter in the Dallas Cowboys running back room currently. Then we have Miles Sanders as the backup, Jaden Blue, Deuce Vaughn after that, and Phil Maffa. So Deuce Vaughn is still ahead of Phil Maffa on the depth chart as things currently stand. Again, preseason games, the health of guys, all that is going to determine ultimately who makes the 53-man roster. But right now, you would have to assume just based off of this, you're looking at Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, and Jaden Blue. And then you got to think that Hunter Lepke, they have him as the fullback on here. That's obviously going to take up kind of an extra roster spot a little bit. And I don't know, man. Deuce Vaughn looks like he may end up being the odd man out due to the practice squad and how that thing is set up. I think they only have like 7 veteran roster spots available for the practice squad. So if they kept Deuce, he would have to take up one of those spots. Now, nepotism is a strong drug, and they like Deuce, and he has a connection with Connor Riley, the offensive line coach. So I do think that Deuce ends up sticking around the organization, likely on the practice squad. But Phil Maffa, I think that they're going to keep hold of. I think Brian Schottenheimer is really starting to like Phil Maffa. And again, preseason games. But running back room, that was kind of like the first thing that we were really looking for as it pertains to how they really view the running back room. And that's a very, very interesting first depth chart, especially considering how much we've heard of Jaden Blue. But I guess Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, the veterans they brought in, they do intend to use those guys, right? Wide receivers, obviously we have CeeDee Lamb. Then we have George Pickens. Wide receiver 3, as things currently stand, it listed Jalen Tolbert or Kevontae Turpin. So they made sure to put that "or" designation right there, let people know that, hey, Kevontae Turpin can easily overtake Jalen Tolbert if Kevontae Turpin kind of shows them what they want to see, I guess, in preseason as it pertains to just being a receiver, man. Not necessarily just athleticism, we know that, but being a receiver. I really want to see if they're actually going to end up tabbing him as essentially their slot receiver. That's very, very interesting. And then we have Jonathan Mingo. Jonathan Mingo looks like he's going to be number 4 on the depth chart right now, after Kevontae Turpin or Jalen Tolbert, just depending on who wins that battle. And then you have, let me see, after George Pickens, Ryan Flanoy. Ryan Flanoy is ahead of Jalen Brooks right now on the depth chart. I think that's kind of interesting. And then, obviously, we take a look at someone like a Treshaun Holden. It looks like Treshaun Holden is likely above Jalen Cropper and Josh Kelly right now. So when you're really looking at it, it really seems like to me, and it looks like he's above Jalen Brooks too, because he's third on the roster behind CD in that X spot. So honestly, if you really look at it sequentially, technically speaking, it looks like Holden is probably the number 6 or 7 receiver. And it looks like Brooks, Kelly, and Cropper are behind Holden right now as it pertains to the receiver hierarchy. So another very interesting thing to keep an eye on. I think the preseason games is going to determine a lot for spots 3 through 5. I think they might go into the season with 5, 6 at the max, because they do have receivers that they like on that roster. But 5, maybe 6 receivers. I think a lot of that's going to be determined, again, in the preseason game. So it's going to be very interesting to actually keep tabs with the Cowboys preseason and how guys perform, because the depth chart is so fluid right now just based off of looking at this. Left tackle, Tyler Guyton. Nate Thomas is listed as the backup. And then Asim Richards is third on the depth chart right there at that left tackle position. So that's very interesting. Someone that they liked a lot in the past. It seems like he's kind of like taking a back seat to someone like a Nate Thomas. Left guard, obviously Tyler Smith, and they have TJ Bass backing him up. Center, Cooper Beebe and Brock Hoffman is his backup, along with Dakota Shepley at that number 3 spot. At right guard, they have Tyler Booker starting. So Tyler Booker, the rookie, starting. And then Sadiq Charles as the backup right guard, and then La'el Collins. And they have La'el Collins listed ahead of Rob Jones right now. So best believe if Dak has anything to say about it, he's going to keep his best friend La'el Collins on the team. So La'el Collins is listed ahead of Rob Jones, someone that was taking first-team snaps before that injury. But I think that injury may end up making him, I don't know. I think that may end up putting him in a position where he isn't on that 53-man when it's all said and done. Right tackle is Terrence Steele. And then the backup is Hakeem Adeniji. And then the rookie of Johnny Cornelius is third on that depth chart. The tight end depth chart is Jake Ferguson starting, Luke Schoonmaker second, Brevin Spanford in that 3 spot, John Stevens fourth, Princeton Font fifth, Rivaldo Fairweather sixth, and Tyler Neville's at the end. So you would have to think at minimum you're going to see Font, Fairweather, Neville, and likely Stevens end up having to take a back seat because, again, Hunter Lepke is going to make someone else in that running back or tight end room be a casualty because of his flexibility and what he does. And they're probably going to want to keep some extra corners just based off the health of that room right now. Going to the defense. Defensive end, Marshawn Neeland is tabbed as the starter. So that was actually something that we were trying to figure out is what was going to be the starting combination of defensive ends. They go with Marshawn Neeland, their second-round pick from last season's draft. So Marshawn Neeland is on that side, and you have Micah Parsons on the other side, and you have Mozzie Smith still tabbed as the starter, but very interesting, rookie Jay Toye, 7th-round pick rookie Jay Toye, by the way, is already ahead of Denzel Daxon and Perion Winfrey on the depth chart. So Jay Toye is right on Mozzie Smith's heels, y'all. Again, something that could potentially change either throughout the preseason or based off of Mozzie being a first-round pick. They want to give him every opportunity. They might start the season with Mozzie there, but if he struggles, then Jay Toye, I think Jay Toye ends up being our starting nose tackle when it's all said and done. But something interesting to note is they don't have a nose tackle designation on this depth chart either for the Cowboys, by the way. But Jay Toye is right behind Mozzie, so he has essentially moved up that depth chart ahead of some of those veterans. Then we have Osa Digizua. Solomon Thomas is right behind him. Then you have Ernest Brown and Tommy Aking-Basote. All right, next up, the linebacker room. Right now, our starting linebackers consist of Kenneth Murray, which he should be, Jack Sanborn. That right there could come as somewhat of a surprise for people. I think a lot of people expected it to be the situation that he was coming from Chicago with Matt Eberflus, and he was just one of those players that they really, really liked and kind of a sleeper type of player, right? Then we have Maris Leofau is currently starting, or Damone Clark. So that's a testament to just how good of a training camp Damone Clark is having, in my opinion. The fact they even put that or designation is more so a compliment to Damone Clark than anything, because he has been having an outstanding training camp by all accounts, right? The cornerback room right now, our 2 outside corners are Kyer Elam, and they said that Trevon Diggs is essentially going to be there in that position when he does come back. And we have Deron Bland. Keemon Hall is currently our starting nickel corner. Ooh, all right, so we got to keep a big eye on Keemon Hall throughout the offseason, and it's kind of surprising considering that Israel Mukuamu is someone that a lot of people thought was going to kind of step into that role, but it looks like Keemon Hall has overtaken Israel Mukuamu for that nickel corner spot. So another battle that we're going to keep an eye on throughout training camp is we understand that Deron Bland is going to be playing outside at least until Diggs gets back. Once Diggs gets back, it looks like it's probably going to be Kyer Elam and Trevon Diggs, and then Deron Bland in the nickel. And then you have Savone Revel backing those guys up and kind of getting a chance to get healthy his rookie season. So I actually like the way that they have this set up, actually. And it looks like Keemon Hall is going to be the guy backing up Deron Bland. Savone Revel is going to be the guy backing up Kyer Elam. And it looks like Trevon Diggs is going to have probably Josh Butler backing him up on his side, all right, once he gets back from injury. And then Andrew Booth is going to end up being that third corner on that side. So the corner room still looks like it has a lot of question marks, and it looks like a lot of uncertainty. Just looking at the depth chart, you can tell they need to solidify that corner room. This is way too much ambiguity right here just in this corner spot. So I think that they really need to address that. Now, the safety position, pretty much as we expected. Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, and then you have Wanye Thomas and Marquise Bell backing those guys up. Elijah Clark and Mike Smith right there. Zion Childress, by the way, they're listing him as a corner. It's probably going to be kind of hard for him to make the roster just based off the numbers and the guys that they have injured and wanting to come back. And so it's probably going to be hard for him to make the 53-man roster just based off of numbers. But I'm willing to bet he's one of those guys they put on the practice squad. Brandon Aubrey, obviously starting kicker. Brian Anger, punter. Long snapper, Trent Sieg. You got the holders, Brian Anger. Kickoff return is going to be Kavontae Turpin and Wanye Thomas. So it looks like on the kickoff return, we're going to see Kavontae Turpin and Wanye Thomas again back there returning kicks. And then punt return is going to be Kavontae Turpin. And Deuce Vaughn looks like he's kind of tabbed in as that second slot. So very, very interesting stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know down in the comments below, what was the most surprising positioning to you as it pertains to the depth chart? I think that it was very, very interesting the way they have everything listed. It does look like that DeMarvion Overshown is going to be kind of either Kenneth Murray is going to slide into the spot that Jack Sanborn is in, and then DeMarvion Overshown is going to be a starter, then Jack Sanborn is going to end up being a backup is what it looks like. So it looks like your starting linebackers ultimately is going to be Maris Leofau or Damone Clark, Kenneth Murray, and DeMarvion Overshown. And then you have guys like either Maris Leofau or Damone Clark, Jack Sanborn, and then Shamar James, and those kind of guys coming off the bench. So the linebacker room looks good. The corner room, a lot of uncertainty. Jay Toye, very interesting to keep a watch on the defensive tackle room. I think that they do need to add another veteran, probably in the corner and the defensive tackle room, to really take this defense serious and to feel like that they have the correct tools to be as good as they should be, right? But beyond that, interesting stuff. I like a lot of the stuff that I've seen. I'm interested to keep an eye on the running backs, the receivers. We're going to keep an eye on the corners because I think that could change throughout the preseason as well. And probably that defensive tackle position with Mozzie. But other than that, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. See you guys on the next one. Now, bow! Them cows.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boy? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Woo, shut up, my boy, shut up.